Welcome. I am obviously here at the TAP Home office, and I am here just at home. You can see the nursery for those of you that know that I have a baby girl. If you don't know me, I'm Justine, our executive director. I joined TAP a year ago, but I did spend the past few months home with baby girl. Nice. Well, we just wanted to have an opportunity to get together, and if you want to introduce Justine, the TAP Town Hall meeting, what we're going to be doing, I will share a screen and tell you a little bit about it. And for those of you who don't know, my name is Mara Silverman. I am the Director of Clinical Services. Yeah, so we wanted to have a town hall tonight because we have some changes coming up. The whole world has been changing a lot in the past couple of years, but we're at a good point. We're really excited to share some good news with you tonight. So I'll really let Mara lead, and I'll let Mara Silverman lead, and then you'll later be hearing from Mara Silverpen. Just wait and see. Okay, y'all. We got things going here. So for tonight, for our town hall meeting, we are going to, as we just did, give you a little bit of welcome. We have a little video for you to watch. We have some review and updates. We'll have a second video, and then we'll have an opportunity for you to ask questions. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get the questions from Facebook. So please, if you are attending the webinar, please ask any questions in the question and answer Q&A or in the chat box below. One of the opportunities here is to keep it short and sweet, and we will definitely have you out within the half hour. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mara Silverpen here in Cary, North Carolina with a breaking news story. I am joined by Justine Knight. Justine, may I please have a few minutes of your time?
Absolutely.
Can you please state your name, your full name, and your role here at the Triangle Aphasia Project?
Certainly. I am Justine J. Knight. I am the Executive Director at Triangle Aphasia Project Unlimited.
What is the Triangle Aphasia Project Unlimited?
Well, TAP supports the aphasia community. So we have programming that serves individuals with aphasia. We serve families, provide support there, and we also serve the community.
Aphasia, what is that?
Well, aphasia is a language condition that often comes after a stroke or brain injury, or can be part of a progressive disease. And so it often shows itself in the forms of trouble speaking or trouble reading, trouble with comprehension.
So these people that have aphasia are intellectually normal and have no deficits in memory?
Exactly. My dad could still tell you how to fly a plane, but don't ask him to say my middle name.
This must be an extremely frustrating condition.
It is. That's why we do everything we can to support them.
Well, I'm so excited to be here today because I understand from my sources that the Triangle Aphasia Project has responded to this global pandemic that we are exiting now in a really unique and creative way. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What did the Triangle Aphasia Project do to keep people engaged and working on their language?
Absolutely. So in a matter of weeks, in response to the COVID pandemic, the incredible team at TAP and the executive director at the time was able to turn on TAP at Home programming, which made our programming go from in-person to virtual. And so people were able to connect with their groups, with the group leaders, with the executive director at the time, all through the safety of their home.
That is amazing. TAP at Home. So people were on Zoom groups. What did you learn from this experience?
Well, quite a bit. There were actually a lot of benefits to it. So we were able to reach people across the state, no longer just in the Triangle area or near our hubs and spokes. We were able to reach people who had transportation issues, who could just tune in anytime. We were able to reach people directly after their strokes when they were still in hospital or rehab centers. We also were able to increase awareness across the state. TAP, the name truly grew in popularity across the state.
This is really amazing. Now, I know that you did a lot during the pandemic, but things are changing and things are opening back up. People are getting back to real life. What are TAP's plans moving forward?
Well, TAP plans to launch a hybrid model.
Hybrid?
Yes, not to be confused with the cars. Our hybrid model is going to have in-person programming as well as virtual programming. So we're going to keep the virtual programming so that people can still participate from across the state and from their homes if they're most comfortable that way. But we're also going to have separate in-person groups for people who want to reconnect with each other.
This is amazing. I know people are really ready to see each other and get back to it. Now, I know that TAP in its history has really prioritized individuals' well-being. And with COVID and the flu and other illnesses going around, what is TAP doing to protect TAP clients and their families?
Well, for our in-person groups, we're going to be making a few changes to what they've been in the past.
Okay.
So individuals will have to register ahead of time, so the groups will be limited in size, so they'll know that they will have space in the room, so they're not directly on top of each other. We'll also be requiring proof of COVID vaccination. So that's important so that we know everyone coming in is managing their risk. And if someone isn't able to get their COVID vaccine for any reason, they can still participate virtually.
This is really wonderful. You all have thought of everything.
We just have some great people on staff.
We are fortunate. Now, TAP is known as a hub and spoke model. Can you explain this, and how does this impact our transition back into, quote, real life?
Absolutely. So think of our Cary office as our hub, and we'll have other locations. Before COVID, we had other locations that are our spokes. So those are other places where groups may meet that aren't directly in Cary. So potentially North Raleigh or Wilmington. Eventually, we hope to have these spokes across the state, but we'll always have our Cary hub.
That is wonderful. So I assume that the places that you would hold groups outside of the hub may have their own recommendations and precautions for keeping people safe.
Exactly. A lot of these places may be hospitals or other healthcare facilities, so we will respect whatever their rules are and make sure that we're working closely with these other places in the community to make sure that our clients and anyone going to our groups or near our groups are safe.
This is wonderful. And I know you had a great group of people through the Transition Task Force, your board of directors, and of course your staff and group leaders working to make sure that this happens safely.
Exactly. I couldn't have done it without them.
Okay, so TAP is being safe, and it's looking forward to doing groups online and in person again, both at the TAP home office and also in areas across North Carolina. These are exciting collaborations with hospitals and universities. I'm sure you are excited to get back to it. Now, you mentioned keeping groups at a certain number based on the space that's allotted. How will you do that? How will you know who's coming and who's not?
So there will be an online registration process. Over the past year, we worked to redevelop our website, which is now more aphasia friendly. And on that website, there's a calendar, a weekly calendar, where people can see all the groups listed for the week. You can filter between in-person and virtual groups. And for the in-person groups, you'll be able to click on that, just sign up, register ahead of time that week, and we'll have a list of who's attending. We have it capped at the appropriate number of people, and it should be a pretty easy process.
This is just wonderful. So how do people know if there's a change in the schedule, or even how do they get updates about what's going on at TAP? Because you're so much more than groups. There are so many things going on with TAP. How do people keep in touch with TAP?
Well, there's a lot of options. We always update our website and we have our social media, but it's really important if people want the latest and greatest and most accurate news is to keep an eye on our newsletters. We send out a weekly newsletters for our clients and families, and that has event updates, schedule changes, new opportunities. I mean, the whole world is at your fingertips when you look at that newsletter.
Well, I love the focus on news. Okay, so it sounds like you are encouraging your TAP family to pay attention to the newsletter, to stay in touch. I understand the groups will be being announced over the next couple weeks, and that's another reason to keep in touch, right? So before we head off and I go to my next breaking news story, I'd like to see if there's anything else that you'd like to share about TAP before I head out.
Well, I think that's the biggest news for now. I hear that later there's a segment on strides for speech. I hope you'll all tune into that. But we are very much looking forward to launching our hybrid model, and I appreciate your investigative journalism.
I take this job very seriously. So this is Mara Silverpen signing off. Good night and God bless.
Okay. And sorry, let me hope you all enjoyed that great news segment. I have a second career should the speech pathology thing not work out. I'm pretty sure that I could be an investigative news reporter. So I just wanted to circle back to some of the things we talked about. One of the reasons that we had an initial town hall meeting in 2020, in the spring of 2020, is because everything had to change. It was very easy before that to keep in touch with clients, letting them know what was going on, getting in touch with our collaborators and kept them up to date. But as we have continued to grow and advance and programming has gone virtual and now going back into real life, we thought it was a good opportunity to pop in again and see where we state now. So Justine, did you want to mention anything else from the registration, or? We'll talk a little bit more about registration here in a second, but just know for anyone with any concerns, we are here to help you through, talking through the registration process, talking through the reopening process, figuring out what's right for our clients if you're a group leader, figuring out what's right for you and your family as an individual. We're here to help you through the process. So we're offering what we think will be a great solution moving forward. But know that if you want to talk at all, provide feedback or ask questions, we're here.
I think that's a really great point to emphasize, because all of our programs were designed for and by really our TAP clients and families. We know that based on a life participation model, it's important that we follow what your passions are, what your interests are. So as you will notice, as we add some groups in person, there'll be some groups that just work better online. And there are other groups that we will be trying out in person. You'll get to meet some new group leaders and also continue with some of our standard people that we've had for a long time. So you please also ask any questions in the Q&A or in the chat. And if there's not any questions right now, I have one more video for you. So we are going to go back to, sorry, I am having technological challenges today, but so those were some of the conversations about online and in-person groups as our hybrid model suggests. And then here's a little bit of information on the registration process.
Hello, friends. I'm going to show you how to register for a TAP in-person group on our website, aphasiaproject.org. You can do this a couple ways. Under News and Groups, you'll see this week's calendar. You can also get to this week's calendar through Current Clients. Once you're on the Current Clients page, just scroll a little bit and you'll see Upcoming Schedule, this week's calendar. Once you have the calendar pulled up, you'll see all the groups we have scheduled that week. Virtual groups are surrounded in blue, in-person groups are surrounded in red. If you need help filtering out in-person groups, you can click this in-person button up top. Now only the in-person groups will be shown. Right now we only have the example showing. So you're going to click on the group that you want to register for. That will pull up the registration page.
where you'll enter your information. And you'll also acknowledge that you've submitted your COVID agreement form. You can hit submit. And now you've registered for that week's group.
So registering for the in-person groups, we'll send an email directly to myself and Amy, and we'll be able to identify how many people are in the group, and it will also cap the group at the number that are allotted for that particular space. So that video will really be helpful. We'll have that video on our website. We'll also have that video sent out in our eye contact newsletter. And again, paying attention to that eye contact newsletter every week and every day. Perhaps you go to a group and you realize, wait, nobody's here. Go back and make sure you didn't receive an email. Also want to mention there are some internet providers, AOL, Embark, sometimes don't allow us in there. So please check your spam also. So let's see if there is any questions. If you are in the webinar, I know we don't have Facebook going on right now, but if you do have any questions and you'd like to put it into the Q&A or the chat, please do that and we'll be happy to answer them. Justine, have you received any questions about what's been going on?
We do have a question in the Q&A. How do you submit proof of vaccine?
Great question. So Amy, our office manager, is in charge right now of our COVID vaccine status. There is two components to that. One is your vaccination card, which you will upload and basically email to Amy. And then we put that in your file and indicate that you've done it. The second thing is that when you begin an in-person group, you will sign a consent agreement. It will share some information about liability and all of those wonderful things, knowing that you're making this decision. And as Justine had mentioned, you're managing your own risk. Of very important note is that we are establishing a really important baseline of if you are sick, if you do not feel good, if you show any signs of COVID, flu, or generally not feeling great, we will ask you to not come to an in-person group and to instead choose one of the virtual programs that are available. So that will be really important that you sign that and demonstrate understanding. It is an aphasia-friendly form, so we know that you will be walked through that and be able to sign on your own behalf.
Mara, I'll just add to that. Amy left us a note as a good, nice reminder that Amy's email is our info@aphasiaproject.org email address. So when you're emailing the general TAP family here, that's going directly to Amy, and she'll be managing that COVID card process.
Excellent.
So we have a few other questions rolling in.
Awesome.
When did you say the hybrid classes will begin?
So I want to make sure that everybody understands the hybrid is the name of the overall program. TAP at Home is one component, that's the virtual. So TAP at Home is virtual. The other piece of the hybrid is in person. In-person groups will begin at the hub. We were so lucky to be able to do a pilot program, allowing a couple TAP clients to come through and participate in all aspects of the in-person group. And it was wonderful. Their feedback really helped us design and fine-tune the program, change our forms up a little bit, and decide what we really needed to do. It will be starting over the next couple of weeks as we decide what our priority groups are. Again, very important that you share your feedback, what groups are important to you. Of other note, there will be a couple groups that just work better online. We have noticed, I think that Justine could also note this too, is we've seen a huge increase in access to our support programs, our education, our learning to speak aphasia, our support groups, which are free to family members of someone with aphasia. And I think the ability to access that virtually just has been a real eye-opener for us. We will also then be talking to all of the spokes and deciding which some groups will be able to start in those locations. Probably the first ones will be in the Triangle area, with Chapel Hill, Raleigh, and Durham getting started as soon as we can.
We have another group question, and then we'll have another COVID question.
Awesome.
So group question, will you be adding more in-person groups as the year progresses, and can clients make requests?
Absolutely. Again, the life participation model is basically saying that the goals and aspirations that you have to participate in life fully is important. We take that into account. The other thing we take into account is attendance at groups. So for us to have a viable group, there needs to be enough people attending that group to make it okay for us to continue to offer it. So if there is a group that you really love, encourage your TAP friends to join, give us good feedback on that, and we can share. If there seems to be a group that just time-wise doesn't seem to work, then let us know that too. We are flexible in being able to do that. What's really neat about this hybrid opportunity is that we will have no concurrent groups. So we won't be opening a computer at the office and also having the people that are virtual joining us. Rather, we're going to have 2 whole full schedules, which opens up so many more opportunities. So there'll be Zoom groups going on, and then there'll also be in-person groups going on. So it's almost like 2 full schedules, which is really, really great.
I love the possibility there of someone being able to join, and by someone, I'm always thinking of my dad, and for him to be able to join some virtual groups one day, some in-person groups another day. I think with having those different options will give people the freedom to make their schedule however works for them on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rolling back to COVID vaccine questions. This is a good question. How many COVID vaccines are required?
So I have actually been doing a little research over the past day or so in getting ready for this. And what we have typically gone with is the CDC and the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. Currently, the CDC actually has 2 sets of recommendations. So they have the general recommendations, which is understanding that the original vaccine that people received was for the original COVID-19 infection. After that point, when those variants came along, they have recently updated the vaccine to cover, and they call it a bivalent, I say that right, bivalent, where it covers both the original disease of COVID-19 and also the Omicron, both the BA4 and the BA5 variants. It would be our preference for you to have all vaccines and boosters. The recommendation is for those people, that separate set of recommendations is for people who have medical conditions. And so for many of our clients, that really falls within that recommendation. We are requiring a minimum of the original vaccines. We hope that those same people are getting the booster and keeping themselves maximally protected. This is an ongoing thing. I think that's really one important thing to bring up this is talking about today, October 17th at 7:25 p.m. It really could change, and we are going to be modifying as we go along, hopefully with less restrictions and not more, but we know the truth of it. And one of the other things that have come up of late has been, we're not just dealing with COVID anymore. We're also dealing with other viruses and illnesses that are going around. And so it's just so important that you protect yourself and protect our clients and their families, because you all are our family and it's important to us.
Sorry, I heard thunder outside. I don't know if you guys.
Yes, we're having a little stormy or two.
That scared me. I know we're short on time. Do we want one more question or should we move
Sure.
on to strides? Okay,
Yeah.
last question. How many client members do you need for an in-person or online group? You mentioned, we need attendance to make the group viable. Is there a number you're looking for?
I'm really glad you brought that up. And I certainly bring this up with my discussions with Justine, our executive director, and the office manager, based on Amy, when we're talking about the size of the room. So in this location, we will be starting with 8 clients because we also have staff and perhaps students. And we were able to spread out with enough space. All of the spokes, it will depend on how big the room is and how much access we have. For the virtual groups, it really is a matter of the need for the group. So if it's a specialty group, it might be a smaller number that we're still okay with. But if a group consistently is only getting 1 or 2 people, that is not a group. And we will have to reconsider that option. So if you love movie group or you love your TED Talk group, talk it up and let's get those people checking out. I think people are a little intimidated sometimes to come to a group. So we really appreciate you guys welcoming them. So thank you all for your questions. Please keep them coming and we'll keep giving information. We will update the website. We'll also be updating information on our eye contact newsletter. One more thing I wanted to mention before I hand it back over to Justine to talk to you a little bit about what's coming up is that our calendar restarts on Monday morning. So Sunday night, you receive an eye contact newsletter that's telling you what's going on. That's when you register for the upcoming groups that are in person. We also will update the calendar that day on Monday. So make sure you don't make any decisions until you look at the calendar on Sunday night. Okay. And passing it back over to our executive director, Justine, about one of our incredible opportunities to support TAP and continue us in the future, and particularly because it's one of our pillar events. Can you tell us about Strides?
I would love to. First, let me put on my TAP beanie that all Strides participants will receive upon register or as registrants. So Strides for Speech is coming up this Sunday. I hope that you guys are all signed up, but if not, I hope you'll join us. We made quite a few changes. We've been listening to you guys, your feedback over the past couple of years. And so we made a few changes. One is we moved up the date to October 23rd instead of November 6th. We're hoping it'll be warmer. It's also a little bit later in the day, so it's at noon, and that gives us time to travel for the weather to warm up. And you'll be traveling out to Wake Forest, a new location. We'll be having Strides at Joyner Park, which if you haven't been, it is a stunning park. As a runner, my jaw dropped. The whole park, within the park itself, within the park grounds, there's paved, smooth course. The entire 5K takes place in the park. So we're doing a 5K and a fun run this year. The fun run is on a paved, smooth, beautiful 0.2 mile loop. And the center of the loop is all open. So your cheering crew will be able to watch you the entire time. The fun run's sponsored by Steps for Recovery, so we're really excited to have them helping out. The fun run will be announced by my own father, so I apologize for how embarrassing that's going to be, but it'll be a blast. The fun run will also have participants will be entered to win raffle prizes from Fleet Feet, including some gift cards and some really cute hats that I got to show Mara today. So the fun run is really stepped up this year. And then the 5K is going to be on this beautiful course. And then while the 5K runners are out running, we'll have the DJ still going. We'll have our own little party back at headquarters. You're welcome to join with strollers, scooters, wheelchairs, whatever it is. We're really excited to have you out there. The other thing is we'll have professional photos out there. Local running photographer is going to join us, so we'll get some beautiful shots of the beautiful. I'm hoping it's going to be a beautiful day. It's definitely going to be a beautiful day.
It's definitely. We're manifesting that.
Exactly. So if you haven't signed up yet, you can sign up at tapstridesforspeech.com. The link is on our Facebook, on our website. You can find it all over the place. And if you want to get $5 off registration, you can use the code TAPFamily. And if you don't feel like signing up, just come to hang out. We'll, we have, we'll have a merch table out there. We'll have some snacks. And like I said, the DJ's gonna make it a party. So it should be good. Hope you'll join us. Someone asked, can we buy merch? Yes. So we'll have all of our merch out there, including we will have extra beanies, extra race t-shirts. We have some TAP crew necks that haven't even been released yet. So we'll have some new stuff. It's going to be a nice get together, and especially ahead of this hybrid launch we have coming up.
That sounds amazing. And as former executive director, I'm going to ask you an important question to really emphasize with this Strides for Speech. Is why, one other thing is that on our Facebook page, we have started a fundraiser, a Facebook fundraiser. And this is another opportunity for you to help and support TAP. So maybe you can't go to Strides, or maybe you're coming, but you really want other people to know about it. If you share that Facebook group, you'll be able to allow, or that Facebook fundraiser, you'll allow people to help support this. And what I want to ask you, Justine, to really tell the people here and that we'll be doing on the recording is, why is it so important for people to support us financially as much as they do with their love and support?
That is a good question, Mara. And I mean, the answer is that, everything we've been talking about is we want to provide these programs to our individuals. We want to support the families. We want to do corporate trainings across the community. But we can't do this without funding. And our funding mostly comes from Signature Event, from Strides for Speech, from our TAP families and community, businesses, friends, neighbors, colleagues, the whole shebang. We can't do it without you guys, especially when we're looking at this hybrid launch. We're talking about offering both in-person and virtual groups. We're talking about bringing in new group leaders. And that costs. And so we're really hoping you join us for this fundraiser. And I mean, it's a fun one for sure. And I mean, we can't offer our programming without you guys.
That's really the simplest way to put it. This programming at TAP is unique, and it is because of you all that we have it. But we can't continue without the amount of funding that we need to be able to add all these programs.
I'll also mention, while we're talking about funding and Strides, is at Strides for Speech, we're going to have a table set up for our icebreakers. And our icebreaker is our monthly donor program. And so anyone who at Strides for Speech increases their icebreaker donation or signs up as a new donor is going to be entered in a Fleet Feet raffle as well. So we have a little incentive there to increase our monthly donors. And that monthly donor program is really important to us because we know that that's income that we can count on and use to plan ahead. So when we're talking about, our plans for 2023, our plans for reopening, our plans for spokes, that sustainer program, that monthly donor program is really important to know that we have that income coming in.
Yeah. And I will finish that funding conversation by saying we have never been in the business of trying to have people who have gone through a tragic and scary event like a stroke and aphasia be the people that support us. We've kept our fees at $5 for almost 20 years. It is unheard of. And the only reason we can do that is because we get funding from these other sources. So maybe you don't have the funds to do it, but please share it with your friends. Tell people about aphasia and tell people about what TAP has done for you and for your life. That really is the big thing, is sharing the word and getting it out. So I'm going to let Justine finish it off and say goodbye, but on behalf of myself, and I'm going to speak for Amy as well, since I'm near her office, I'm going to say thank you so much for tuning into the TAP at Home and real life in-person TAP town hall meeting. It was, it's so great to see everybody. We can't wait to see everybody in person, and take care of you.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and always feel free to email us or message us, however you want to get in touch, call us. with any questions, and hope to see you at Strides for Speech. And if not, hope to see you at an in-person group soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.